The morning news on YourIowa.com is brought to you by the Commission on U.S. Territories, striving for equal representation around the globe, and by Keep Iowa First, committed to keeping the Iowa caucuses the first in the nation contest in selecting the presidency of the United States. And now, here's your host, Brent Roske.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday to you, and so grateful today to have our guest all the way from Guatemala today. The UNHCR representative, Besem Obenson, will be with us in just a minute. There's photos of her at work. Folks, this is just amazing work that she does in the United Nations High Commissioner on Refugees. They're there at the front lines. They are caring for people. They're doing amazing things. So grateful to her and to the organization for having her on today. Some sad news to report from the District of Columbia today. There's a photo I actually took this summer. There's Mayor Mourning Bowser. She's there with DC Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton, the House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, and of course DC Shadow Senator Paul Strauss. Mayor Mourning Bowser's sister passed away yesterday. CNN is reporting her sister, Mersha Bowser, was 64. And according to a statement from the mayor, my family and I are mourning the loss of my sister, Mersha Bowser, who passed away this morning due to complications related to COVID-19. Mersha was loved immensely and will be missed greatly when she joins the Legion of Angels who have gone home too soon due to the pandemic. The mayor said that Mersha is her only sister and her eldest sibling. She said she was a loving daughter, sister, aunt, and friend who worked tirelessly for children, the elderly, and those with behavioral disorders until her retirement and beyond. Our thoughts and prayers are with Mayor Bowser and her family this morning. Tomorrow, there she is. Gina Belafonte is there with her father, Harry Belafonte. I interviewed Gina yesterday. I've had the good fortune of being friends with Gina for several years, and she will be on the program tomorrow. I'm going to air that interview tomorrow. They run a group called Sankofa.org, which combines art and social justice, and it was a fantastic conversation. I'm going to broadcast that tomorrow, so definitely tune in for that. Yesterday, if you saw this group, Nature of the Dream is a brand new film, uplifting Black voices. It's showing at the Des Moines Playhouse. You can buy tickets there at dmplayhouse.org. Next Friday, so excited about this. There's Peter Gabriel on the left. Sebastian Robertson is a big producer in Hollywood, and he just produced a new version of Peter Gabriel's song Biko, with Yo-Yo Ma, with musicians from all over the world, the Cape Town Singers. My interview with Sebastian Robertson, producer, will be next Friday. If you missed my President's Day show, there is Eli Addy, 5 seasons of The West Wing. He's former speechwriter for Vice President Gore there. This interview is posted right now, walks us all through his transition from politics to entertainment. And this Monday, the weeks, so many guests, and it's hard to believe that this was only Monday. If you missed Monday's show, my friend Stephen Adams produced this film, Rodney King. Spike Lee directed it, produced by Stephen Adams. You're going to want to check out that conversation that is posted now. And then on the 1st, in our small way, we've been honoring the Black History Month, and we don't want it to end in February. February is the shortest month. It's one of the coldest months. So in a small symbolic gesture, on the 1st of March, I'm having this gentleman on, State Representative Ross Wilburn. He was just elected to be the chair of the Iowa Democrat Party. There he is with Vice President Harris. He was actually a senior advisor on that campaign here in Iowa. Mr. Wilburn will be telling us about his vision for the party and what's going on in the state capitol right now. Legislation is in session right now. So lots to talk about with Mr. Wilburn. That will be on the 1st. But with no further delay, let me see if I can bring up here on the screen all the way from Guatemala. There she is, Besem Obenson from the United Nations High Commission on Refugees. Thank you so much for being here today.
Good morning, Brent. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a pleasure.
Is so grateful to the technology for making this possible, and to have a conversation with you live, thousands of miles away. So grateful for that. So you run the United Nations High Commission on Refugees office in Guatemala. Now, before we go into it, so you were born and raised in Ohio. How did that help shape your humanitarian views? Started in Ohio, now you're in Guatemala doing incredible international work. How did your Ohio upbringing influence all that?
Good morning, Brent. Good morning to your audience as well, and thank you so much for having me. That's such a great question. I think back to it, and I think it started with big brother, big sister. So I remember being 17 years old, Ohio State. I went to Ohio State, go Bucks, and I joined this group, the Newman Center, which is it's a Catholic center on a lot of college campuses. And the big thing was giving back. And so I got hooked on Big Brother, Big Sister. I got hooked on working in soup kitchens. I got a thrill out of giving back and feeling like I was part of something. It wasn't just me. And that's where it all started. And of course, right after college, I decided I needed to go someplace else. How far could I go? So I joined the Peace Corps, went to Paraguay. And as most returned Peace Corps volunteers will say, I got way more than I put into it. And I realized that this is something I want to do, to be part of a small part of something bigger than myself. And it's just taken off since then. So this was, almost 30 years ago that I finished the Peace Corps in Paraguay.
Incredible. I mean, you've really devoted your whole life to service, and that, the video we started today's broadcast with, we've not shown that video yet on this show. The imagery is so striking, and what it is, and I'm going to show it again after this interview. It's so impactful, but it's simply people caring for others. So often it's an older human being caring for a younger human being, or if it's, just those simple gestures of, because so many of these decisions in politics and world events happen in state houses, happen in capitals, but they're felt in places that don't often get seen. And that seems to be the work that you're involved with. And I want to show a photograph. This is one of the photographs. Now look at this. Can you see this? So that's you. And what is it? It looks like you're working on water there, or what are you doing there?
So as you know, here in Guatemala, we unfortunately have had two hurricanes back to back, Eta, Iota. So in these communities at the borders, water is scarce. It's sacred. Good water, clean water, access to clean water is such a problem for a lot of these families. And so UNHCR donates these, they call them eco filters. Very simple. You put water in there, and it's a clay filter, and you get clean water at the end. So it's amazing how things as little as this make a huge difference in people's lives.
But folks, that's what we're talking about. I mean, you are involved in every part of simply, and I guess if people say, what's your job description? You say, doing what I can to simply help improve someone's life who needs help right now. I know a lot of, the refugee newsletter that's sent out is talking about that winter has hit a lot of the different areas that UNHCR is involved with. And simple things like we need blankets, we need warmth, we need shelter. Down in Guatemala, I'm going to show the photograph again because, folks, this is getting involved. This is literally, you don't even have sleeves to roll up there, but if you did, you'd be rolling up your sleeves and getting the job done. You are literally doing the hard work. You're like, if I can get someone cleaner water, I will. And I think that level of people, we get so wrapped up in the theoretical nature of things and talking heads and politics and all that sort of thing. But the work you're doing is just frontline. So let's talk about Guatemala. So people continue to leave Venezuela to escape violence, insecurity, and threats. And it's being called now one of the largest displacement crises in the world. I'm wondering if you kind of give folks a background as to what's going on there in Guatemala and Venezuela.
Absolutely. So now the issue of, I was in Colombia before my assignment here, where the majority of the caseload of Venezuelans, about 1.7, 1.8 million Venezuelans. So at this point, there's over 6 million Venezuelans outside of the country. seeking basic services, escaping violence, seeking refuge. We have mothers, children, older adults, people living with disabilities, seeking assistance. And UNHCR is on the floor, on the ground directly providing all from basic assistance, cash-based interventions, access to medical services, and not to talk about COVID, which has just created an additional layer of complexities because with the lockdown, a lot of these countries had really strict lockdowns. And so refugee livelihoods first to go because they're the most fragile. People cannot leave their homes, they cannot sell. So combined with all of that, it's creating a very large humanitarian disaster. I will mention that just recently, you might have seen that Colombia took this great step to provide temporary humanitarian protection to over 1.7 million Venezuelans, which is excellent, and it is definitely a model to follow. So this gives Venezuelans 10 years of legal status. They can get jobs, they can put their children in school, they can contribute to the societies they live in, and UNHCR applauds that decision and is definitely supporting anywhere we can. In terms of Guatemala, where we're located, we are north of Central America, so the dynamics there's a little different. It's more so people from Central America and El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua seeking assistance, fleeing gang violence, seeking refugee asylum status in Guatemala or on transit to Mexico or the US. So Guatemala over the years has become not just a country of transit, but also it's very much strengthened their asylum system here so that they can actually are giving people new starts, new lives, asylum. It's basically, as you mentioned earlier, people want the same things we all want. I want a stable job. I want to be able to put my kids at school. I want to be able to put food on the table. And I want to be able to contribute to the community, my new community where I'm living.
I'm going to show, this is some photographs of you at work. I mean, walk us through what is the average day for you? I just can't even imagine. I mean, every photograph here looks like you're dealing with incredibly important things, literally helping to keep people alive. What's an average day for you?
Great question. Average day for me. So those pictures you're showing, I was at the border with Honduras. We have 4 field offices. And so I don't know if I have an average day, but it all depends. I like to go out to the field. We have, as I said, 4 field offices. I like to talk to, that's an interesting one. I like to talk to the refugees. I need to talk to the refugees and asylum seekers and the people that we serve and the host communities because I need to know what they're thinking. I need to know what their needs are. Our strategy puts refugees at the center of decision making. And for me, it's important that really is true, that we really are talking to them and that we really are listening to them. And being able to provide solutions that meet their needs. So a typical day for me a lot of times is if I'm not out in the field, I probably do that once or twice a month. I am meeting with our really great government partners. We work very well with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, obviously with the Ministry of Migration, Ministry of Labor. So doing a lot of advocacy to include people of concern in existing mechanisms. We don't create parallel systems. We look to strengthen systems that already exist. We look to support the government. So my day is very varied. I could go from going to a shelter and helping hand out sandwiches because COVID, maybe somebody's COVID positive and they can't show up to work. So then I put on my vest and I'm handing out sandwiches and food to this picture, for example, where we launched the new refugee agency center. So it's I have to say, Brent, there's not a dull day. There's definitely not a dull day in the work I do, and it's very, very rewarding.
Well, it's fantastic. And you've been involved in this, like we said, for years. First with Peace Corps and now United Nations High Commission on Refugees. How do you feel? I mean, you must be standing. There's a great photograph of the person standing on the beach trying to hold back the ocean. And I get the sense that you must feel like that sometimes, like, you have so much to do. You're only one person. How do you feel in the span of your career, Are we making strides? Are things getting better, or is the conflict just shifting? Just kind of leaving that open for your thoughts.
Right. Well, Brent, I'm an optimist. I almost feel like if you're in this position, this kind of job, you have to be an optimist. You have to see and recognize and get joy from the resilience of refugees and asylum seekers and internally displaced people. Unfortunately, yes, the numbers keep rising. The numbers of refugees and people who are forcefully displaced keeps rising. The humanitarian crisis in the world keep rising. And obviously with COVID, where most countries are suffering and are looking for resources, we are also competing as UNHCR for these resources, and they're always underfunded. So there is that part of it. But I think I recognize resilience in people. I love to tell people stories because at the end of the day, everything that we do, the lobbying, the advocacy, fundraising, is to really it's about people. It's to build resilience in people. I've met people throughout my career who came from just the worst situations, fleeing violence, have lost loved ones, gender-based violence along the way, and to see where they are right now, because they say there is no option. I have no option. And I always feel like it's not just me. I'm part of something larger. There's something larger. So I'm part of my little contribution adds to what everybody else contributes. And so together, to use your analogy, not just one person can hold back the ocean, but maybe there's a whole bunch of us, and then we take turns. When one gets tired, somebody else pitches in. But this is definitely one of those issues of it takes a village.
Besem Obenson is in Guatemala. She is the representative for the United Nations High Commission on Refugees down there. Thank you so very much for being on the program today.
Thank you so much, Brent. Have a great day.
You too. Folks, I'm going to run the video we showed in just a little bit, and then I'll be back to wrap up the program. Huge thank you to Besem Obenson for being on with us live from Guatemala today. Tomorrow, Gina Belafonte will wrap up the Black History Month guests, but we are not going to stop the conversation there. But tomorrow, my interview with Gina Belafonte, there she is with her father, Harry Belafonte. They run Sankofa.org, which is the nexus between arts and advocacy. So definitely stick around, tune in for that. And on Monday, Ross Wilburn, there he is, State Representative Ross Wilburn, will be with us talking about things going on in the State House here in Iowa. Folks, thank you so much for tuning into the program. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow. Take care.
School of Rock is now in session in Iowa, and we're ready to help make musicians. In our patented performance-based program, students learn music in one-on-one lessons, then have band practice in a fun, safe learning environment, all leading up to their big show. Guitar, bass, piano, drums, and vocals, our local professionals teach the skills you need to be a rock star. Come check us out and get a free lesson with no strings attached. Locations in West Des Moines and Marion. Visit schoolofrock.com to learn more and start your musical journey today.